Rico Nasty, who also dropped a new project this weekend. Her first one since Nightmare Vacation,
Hmm.
Las Ruinas.
Yes.
Man, uh, I've listened to this a couple of times because I really was just like taken aback by this. And
Mm.
Rico Nasty continues to be an artist that I think she's hard to pin down exactly like what lane she's in or what she's trying to accomplish or what
Yeah.
she wants to accomplish. And I think that's makes it really interesting and really awesome. I found this to be an incredibly up and down project where when it hit, I was like, wow, this is fucking next level shit. And when it didn't hit, I found it to be just incredibly dull. And so I think that's kind of like Rico's MO for these albums, right? Like she
Mm.
has songs that just really are like, wow, this is incredible. And then songs where you're just like, pretty mid.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, she is so unique as a rapper, and she's always been authentic like this whole time, getting to this point that I do really find myself rooting for her. Um, this is officially her eighth mixtape. She said it herself on Twitter.
Mhm.
Her first project following up the debut album, Nightmare Vacation, end of 2020. So it's been a little bit. She's been hyping up a mixtape called RX since then. I'm not sure if Las Arenas is what became of RX or they're two separate things. Not really sure. But yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting this much like genre and like tonal variety and range on this. She's done all kinds of sounds already,
Yeah.
but usually she kind of hones into like a genre lane on a project, you know, at least the last few projects anyway.
Mhm.
I think what most took me with this was I was expecting it to be kind of more like black punk and like Rico bringing some kind of like punk, like rock 2022 rock stylings to her hip hop because it would fit her aesthetic, it would fit her energy. It would actually feel pretty authentic. It wouldn't really feel like trend chasing if she did it. But she didn't do that all that much on this, or at least not as much as I expected. Next thing I know, there's like EDM on here. And not the EDM I expected to hear if there was any either. I would have expected to hear lots of hyper pop a la the Dylan Brady produced iPhone off Nightmare Vacation, a song I really love,
Mhm.
was on my top 10 that year. But even though Gex is here on a great song,
Yeah.
Gots to Get Paid,
Oh
the
yeah.
EDM I do hear on this is much more traditional, like looping like trance. And there's a genuine marshmallow feature here, which seemed like something she really wanted because this is a mixtape. Atlantic didn't really invest in one of these like it would have for the album. So she really wanted to make a song with Mello, I guess. I don't know. Uh,
I do have to say this is like the first Marshmello song I've listened to, and I was like, wow, this actually goes pretty hard. Like, I
Doesn't
didn't
sound
hate
like
it.
one of his songs, that's why.
No, that's it. That's true. Yeah, I agree. I was definitely surprised at what we did get in the EDM sphere. Like you mentioned, "Gots to Get Paid." I think that run from One on Five through Blow Me is like
Yeah.
by far the like strongest part of this album. Black Punk and early standout, and then she kind of hits this like softer. I don't even really know what she's going for in the second half to the
Right.
end of the album,
I
but it
mean,
really,
Easy has acoustic guitars,
yeah,
which I don't think I've ever heard her do
it's
before.
almost like an X, like she's going like an Tentacion direction
Yeah,
with this
right.
sound, which is like varying in terms of success. Like "Focus on Me," I thought was really like a great love song, almost kind of like love off Kendrick Lamar's "Damn," like kind
Right,
of that
sure.
sort of standout. But then you get "Easy," "Into the Dark," and "Chicken Nugget," which are all sort of in that same realm. And I'm like, okay, I got enough of this. I want to go back to the
Yeah.
badass Rico at this point. And I just want to say real quick, like her styling on the album, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see on my background, she really looks like Eve's Tumor a lot in this. And like there's
Sure.
definitely some like rock and like hip hop like vibes blending there. So I would love to see them collaborate on some music moving forward. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's definitely trying for something here.
Yeah, well, in between Nightmare Vacation and now, infamously, Rico was opening up for Playboy Cardi on the King Vamp tour, and she caught a lot of abuse opening up over a few shows from Cardi fans in attendance, and she was like really depressed and not having a good time, which is really disappointing for many levels. And and also didn't really do much to publicly support her, which was not great, good to see at all. I have to figure like if you listen to the lyrics, that like back half, that back little chunk of songs to end Las Ruinas. I think that's what she's getting at there, and like her mind space, and she seems to be in a much better place now. And
Mhm.
I wasn't actually expecting to get a full project this soon, given where she had been at,
Yeah.
publicly and personally. But I think that's what she's getting at there. So like, I can like, I therapy, catharsis for her. That's cool. Not music I'm actually gonna go back to.
Mhm.
Um, Gots to Get Paid, I think, is the best song here because it's classic Rico rapping. It's like very reminiscent of probably her most famous style to this point, which
Oh
is
yeah.
all her stuff with Kenny Beats, made famous by Smack a Bitch, which is her biggest song to this point. And it's a Gex song. Both Dylan Brady and Laura Less are there on production and co-writing. They aren't doing like the traditional Gex hyperpop you think of.
No.
It's they're a bit more reined in on the production there. I didn't think it was them until I looked it up. But yeah, I think that's the stuff I want most from Rico as a performer because she's just so good at like bringing out her rage
Mhm.
into her rapping, you know. And I think there's other hints of that style throughout some of these performances, like on "Below Me" a little bit when that beat
Yeah.
drops in. It's all over. I agree with you on 1 on 5 as well. But yeah, I think "Got to Get Paid" is just that's like the ideal Rico song to me.
You can almost like see her bouncing around on stage and like screaming the lyrics to that song when
Yeah,
you're listening to it. Got to Get Paid was the clear highlight to me. That and Below Me, I thought were like the two that really stood out. Below Me is so interesting. When I was listening to this, I was almost like, she's making songs that could be in like Blade or something like that, just
mm,
like this like dark
stay tuned.
vampires type vibe. And like Blow Me is like the exact like feeling for that. Or like I could have seen Matt Reeves like using some version of this in the Batman for that really like grimy Gotham feel to it.
Sure.
And I think the chorus on Blow Me is so fucking catchy. And it's
Hmm.
like so dirty and like sick and twisted, but like I
Yeah,
really, really love it. And I agree. I think this is what I want to see from Rico is her like channeling that rage and that intensity and that fire that she has into her music, but in varying ways. And I think
yeah,
Blow Me and Got to Get Paid are the exact examples of that. Was there any other like moments on this that you really liked or really
yeah. I
want
did
to talk
have one moment that stood out to me on Jungle Rico Nasty remix, the song with Fred again.
about? Hmm.
You eventually get to that point. There's this huge like drum and bass drop. It's like a big EDM song, right?
Yeah.
And then at the point, there's like this like part where the vocals are going like go 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 go,
Hmm.
and it's like the tempo that it's at. It just immediately brought me back to A-Track's Heads Will Roll Yeah Yeah Yeahs remix that
Yeah.
was famously in like Project X and stuff like that. And I think that would actually like for DJing, free tip would be like a perfect transition from the go 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 right into like the classic like refrain in the
Hmm.
Heads Will Roll remix. I feel like that would sound perfect.
Yeah,
So
that dun, 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 yeah,
yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah, and I honestly was like taken aback by that, especially being kind of like right in the middle of the album. So
yeah,
this is 17 tracks. But then when Rico's verse comes in, I was like, oh, this is fucking sick. Like, and that's the thing is like when she's really giving that intensity, it really works. I do think like Focus on Me gives me some hope that Rico, who's only 25, is going to be
mhm,
able to like elevate and bring in different elements of her personality into her music in a successful way. Because Focus on Me, I think, is really a wonderful love song. But I just think using that sort of element more sparingly or thoughtfully. But obviously, this being a mixtape, she probably is just trying to get these tracks out and see what
mm,
works, see what doesn't. So
right.
I love this. And Rico's such an interesting artist. It's hard not to root for, in my opinion.